All right, let's talk about a company you've definitely used but probably haven't thought too much about. We're diving into Stripe, and believe me, it is so much more than just a simple checkout button. It's the company that's busy building the entire financial plumbing for a future that's going to be run by AI. Yeah, you know this logo. You've seen it 1,000 times when you're buying something online. But what's the story behind it? Well, behind that logo is one of the most powerful, most forward-thinking fintech companies on the planet. And they're getting ready for a world where our AI assistants do all the shopping for us. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look past that simple buy button. Then, we'll rewind to see how their focus on developers shaped everything. We'll break down what economic infrastructure actually means, and then we get to the really juicy part, their huge bet on AI and what it all means for how we'll buy things in the future. Okay, first things first, we have to completely reframe how we think about Stripe. You know, it's so easy to see them as just that last little click in an online purchase. But their real ambition and what they've actually built is just so much bigger. See, at its core, Stripe was born to fix a massive, massive headache. If you've ever tried to start a business online, you know that just accepting money is unbelievably complicated. Stripe's entire reason for being was to make all of that complexity just disappear. So how'd they do it? How did they tackle that complexity? Well, they were smart. They went right to the source. And to understand Stripe's DNA, you absolutely have to know who they built it for first: software developers. And this timeline just lays it all out perfectly. Back in 2010, the Collison brothers started with a simple promise: give developers a few lines of code and they can accept payments. Easy. But then, over the years, they just kept adding layer after layer, turning it into this enormous platform. And that recent valuation, plus that key acquisition of Metronome, that shows you exactly where they're headed, squarely at the next wave of tech, AI. So you hear Stripe talk about being the economic infrastructure for the internet. I know, it sounds a little grand, right? But it's actually the perfect way to describe their business. Let's peel back that layer and see what's really going on. Now, this is what's so cool. This idea completely shifts how you see them. Stripe isn't just a product or a tool. It's a foundational service. Think of it less like an app you download and more like the entire operating system that lets all the money apps talk to each other and work flawlessly. And this is what that operating system is made of. It's not just about taking a payment anymore. We're talking about automatically sniffing out fraud with their tool Radar, or managing complicated subscriptions with billing. They even help huge marketplaces pay out all their sellers using a product called Connect. It's the whole shebang. And the sheer scale of this thing is just mind-blowing. I mean, for starters, they're global. Businesses in over 50 countries can get up and running on Stripe. And within those countries, they can handle over 135 different currencies and ways to pay. Think about that. They basically unlock the entire global market for any little startup with a good idea. And when you add all that up, you get this. In just 1 year, Stripe processed over 1.4 times trillion dollars. That is not just a big number, that's a huge slice of the entire global online economy, all flowing through their pipes. Now, when you're sitting on top of that kind of scale, you get a pretty amazing view of what's coming next. And what Stripe sees, and what they are betting the farm on, is a future that's going to be completely dominated by artificial intelligence. This quote from Stripe, it says everything. The key phrase here is agentic commerce. What does that even mean? Well, simply put, it's a world where AI agents, your personal digital assistants, are empowered to go out and buy things for you. Stripe isn't just getting ready for this, they are actively building the world where it can happen. So let's just compare for a second. Right now, you browse a site, you click Add to Cart, and you type in your credit card info. In the future that Stripe is building, you'll just say, "Hey, AI, book me the cheapest flight to Dublin next Tuesday." And poof, it'll handle the entire transaction securely without ever showing your actual card details to anyone. And look, this isn't just some sci-fi dream. These are the actual steps they've already taken. They've already put payments right inside ChatGPT. They helped create an open standard, basically a rule book for how these AIs should be allowed to spend money. And they bought Metronome for the specific purpose of helping AI companies bill their customers. They are methodically laying down the tracks for this new AI economy. Okay, so we've seen where Stripe came from, and we've gotten a glimpse of where it's going, so let's tie it all together. Why does this shift from a payment button to the backbone of AI commerce actually matter to you and me? Well, if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Stripe is trying to become the ultimate layer of trust for the next version of the internet. As we start giving AI agents more and more power, the question becomes, how does it pay for stuff safely? Stripe wants to be the answer. They want to be those secure, reliable rails that all AI-driven commerce runs on. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it? We're about to move from a world where we control every single penny we spend online to one where we hand over financial decisions to an AI. As Stripe builds the very infrastructure to make that possible, what new doors does that open? And maybe more importantly, what new risks does that create for all of us? It's a future that's coming way faster than you think.